Hello and good afternoon. My name is Maren and I'm a senior lecturer in film production. I welcome you to the screening of the first wave of Encounters films. They're all first year productions. Documentaries seldom turn out the way we planned because we are dealing with real life and real people, and this means that things change. They always do. For you, however, the last few months have been a real baptism of fire, and the circumstances were really difficult in the worst pandemic for a century. But all of you rose with grace to the occasion, and I just want to say really, really well done. So enjoy the screening. These films are not just from our students in the UK, but also from our students abroad. And yeah, sit back and enjoy.
Hello, year ones. Andy here with Alessandro. Alessandro in the Alps, the Italian Alps. Me in a basement in Guildford. Um, Welcome to your first kind of official screening here at UCA. I know it's not exactly how a lot of us planned and how we imagined it, and how we imagined you would start your time here, but I just kind of wanted to say before the screening starts, and I'm sure Alessandro will um, join me in what I'm about to say, just a massive well done to every one of you for, you know, almost battling the pandemic creatively to come out with your films. Alessandro will know a lot more about the effort that you put into your pre-production to make filming happen with all the restrictions. And you should be very proud of yourself for what you've accomplished, because it's no mean feat, and I'm very excited to watch all these films.
Yeah, I mean, considering the limitation these guys had to work in, it's astonishing the amount of work and effort they've put in this project. You could really feel the passion and the willing to make films, no matter what. And that's great to think that not even during a pandemic time as this, with the COVID-19, you can be stopped to make art, to make films, and just do the projects you're passionate about. So really well done to all of you. I'm very looking forward to watch the films, and I'm sure they will be amazing.
And yeah, hopefully we'll see you in person as soon as we possibly can. Well done again. So here's the Wave One screening. Strap in, 3 hours long. There'll be a few little intermissions in between some of the groups. So strap in and enjoy. Strap in. It's a strange phrase. Sit down. That's too aggressive. Calm down. Sit down. Stay calm. No. What do they say? What does Rolly Mole say from the Fimbles? He's kind of like, you wouldn't know the Fimbles, but he's kind of, Are you sitting comfortably?
Yeah.
Then we will begin. Was that all right?
Yeah,
Cheers, mate.
I think so.
Hi, and welcome to your screening. I'm going to keep this short so that you have plenty of time to watch the films, but first I wanted to let you know how incredibly proud I am of each and every one of you. It's been a very challenging year, and it's important that we stop and celebrate the moments that we can together. So, sit back, turn down the lights, get a drink, and enjoy the show. I will see you soon. Bye.
I always thought that tattoos were like an art form of sorts.
Personally, I was always a big fan of tattoos. I thought they were always cool and really interesting to see.
I love tattoos. I wanted to have like all my life. Even like just random ones like I don't really care about like meaning or anything.
Practice on yourself first, obviously. Don't practice on other people. Because I think that's the best way to kind of realize how much you have to, apply the pressure, how much ink you should have on your needle. And then when you do it on others, you should be like really careful, to have everything sterile and be safe. My mom died in 2014, and I was a self-harmer, I guess. And because I'm kind of like always trying to make everything creative, for my own benefit. I said, okay, let's try to make this creative. So I started with stick and poke, I watched like some tutorials, and I had my uncle that did tattoos, and I asked him like a bunch of questions, and then I like stole a needle and like a small bottle of ink, and I started doing it on myself, and I thought like, okay, this is a really great alternative, to kind of replace that. Yeah, in my family, sadly, we have these cases of Alzheimer. So, for example, my grandpa like has had Alzheimer, and he had a bunch of tattoos. And even though he had Alzheimer, he could remember bits of each, just by seeing the tattoo. So I think that's really important. I started with this one. This doesn't mean anything to me. It's just like the first try. I don't know what I tried to do. I think I started with the line and then I did another one and another one and another one. It looks like a barcode to me. Then we switched to the professional tattoos. I have this one with my dad that he has as well. I think I was like 5 or 6. We were playing with this cat that we had. And this is the one I have with my mom. I think we were at the beach or something like that. And then the most recent one, the one with my grandma. And I think this is exactly her personality, always like kind of victorious. And of course, she has to have a glass of something all the time. I don't want to say that my parents didn't raise me, but I think she had the most influence on me while growing up, because she's one of those people who really struggled and really fought for everything she has now. Being being the last child in a family of 10, she was basically the one who had to take care of the animals. She wasn't allowed to go to school and all that, like her brothers and sisters. And yet, she's still the most open-minded. She's still the most kind. So why not get a tattoo of her, My uncle, he's done tattoos, and he started doing stick and poke, and then he switched to pro. Then he went actually back to stick and poke, and when he went back, I was like 5. And I remember watching pretty much every tattoo that he's done. So I think that kind of got me into that, even though I was really young.
The letter C is my sister's initial. Her name's Carola, and she means the world to me because if she weren't born, I honestly don't think I would be here anymore. So she has helped me through a lot without even realizing it. So a lot of the things I do is for her.
I think you're gonna be surprised of, oh, that's it? It doesn't hurt, because that's usually the reactions that I get pretty much every time. Oh, that's it, okay.
Someone's going to the kitchen, I think. I don't know. I am a nervous mess.
And you're like, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to do this.
At the beginning, it really did hurt, and I'm surprised because I was so sure it wouldn't hurt, and I was so sure, like, oh, it's gonna feel like, I don't know, when someone takes blood from you, because then I barely feel that. But no, it was worse. But yeah, when your hand starts getting numb, the sensation doesn't feel that bad. I honestly, at the end, I sort of enjoyed it, besides that one part where I have the muscle. Otherwise, I'm very happy with it.
couple of sentences, transcendental meditation is just a simple, natural, effortless mental technique that allows the mind to experience quieter and quieter levels of thinking. And because there's an inextricable link between the mind and the body, as the mind settles down, so the body settles down. Research shows us, typically during transcendental meditation, the body will receive a state of rest which is typically twice as deep as your deepest sleep. So it's a very profound state of physical rest. When we talk about transcendental meditation, we don't separate the mind and the body. We think about it as one continuum. And that is because probably the primary objective of transcendental meditation for the individual is to develop higher states of consciousness, what we generally refer to as enlightenment. There are the concentration techniques where we fix the mind in one place. The most famous one of these, I guess, is where you stare at a candle flame. There are many varieties, but you fix your mind on the candle flame, and if the mind tries to wander off, then you whip it back into line and you hold it there. And this is said to strengthen the mind through discipline. It's not an unintelligent idea. It's noticed that the mind wanders, and maybe a way of improving that situation is to practice keeping the mind still. I was, 17 or something, and I was doing my A-levels, and so I was trying to sort of achieve well academically, and I was trying to stay healthy, so I'd sort of got mind and body sorted out, I thought. But then when I heard about this other part of you, this source of thought, the ability to contact that level of consciousness and expand your mental potential, and also, just this idea of enlightenment, that seemed really interesting to me. Instead of my life being in two parts, sort of intellectual achievement, physical health, I realized it was three parts. There's this us, there's this self. And this self is the same self that it was when you were 8, and the same self that you were when you were 17. And it's the same self when you're 65. Everything around the self, including the body, changing, but the self remains the same. And the thought that there was something I could do to somehow enhance the self was a really appealing idea. When I learned TM, I was 17 years old, and I was extremely anxious and depressed. Now, back in 1972, when I was 17, people were not talking about mental health in the way that they do now. So I didn't know that I was anxious and depressed. I didn't know that those things. I just thought life was horrible. I just thought that's how life was. My nervous system was sufficiently stressed that I was depressed or anxious by turns pretty much all the time. But what I actually thought was that life was rubbish. I just thought the world was rubbish. And then I learned TM. And from that point on, it wasn't, and in my experience with people that one teaches, it's seldom like a bolt from the blue, but something profound and subtle starts to happen straight away. I noticed that effect straight away. Not that I was instantaneously not anxious or didn't get depressed again, but I just noticed something very profound happening. More than anything, I had this period twice a day when I could just be, well, that's it, actually, full stop, just be. And that's incredible if you find life difficult. But also then I began to notice that I wasn't, just anxiety fell away. And then I just forgot about depression. Harking back to the idea that transcendental meditation is a simple, natural process, the benefits are natural. We're supposed to be well. We're supposed not to be stressed. And so we don't necessarily notice when we're well. We just notice when we're ill. But sometimes somebody will point out something and you go, oh yeah, oh no, that's not a problem. And then as one meditates more, those benefits just accumulate. They just accumulate. So that life is always the same. Life is always the same. Life always has its ups and downs. There are always changes in life. The field of relative life is about change. Stuff is always changing. The key thing is, how are you in that field of change?
Now on to the last question. It's just simply, would you say from TM that you found enlightenment?
毕业后就到徐州这边工作了，工作了2年，就不想再跑了。本来对做吃的也挺感兴趣的，然后就辞职。就当时就在学校旁边嘛，感觉，就弄着有趣一点，轻松一点，然后就起了这个名字。16年的时候开店，那时候就好多学生，过来吃饭，有的毕业了还要来这边吃，有的他们的就是社团里的，他就会推荐给那些新生，新生到这边吃了感觉挺好的。然后他们就会推荐给下一代的学生。
这是准备的3种菜，看，韭菜、豆芽、生菜、菜。鱼，蒜。
看也没看一下子。
看很久了，没好了好。那大宝是什么？来吧，大宝这不是那料包吗？大骨的，大骨大料，包子里的吗？不然天天晚上人家拿桶来要什么，都要这类大骨的喂狗的吗？不然他这天天拿桶来吗？这不然这不是汤搁什么炖的？搁球饭，这是大骨的。不要香菜。一定正常做完做一个水菜的哈。
是吗？粉粉，15元。
我这边比较忙的话，一个人也做不来，然后就我妈妈在这儿帮我，然后我姐姐家离我这儿比较近一点，然后她现在没什么事，她就饭点过来帮我一下。其实我在一个城市待了2年或者3年，就非常非常腻，就想换个城市。16年的时候，就是和几个朋友一起骑车去那个西藏拉萨玩了一下，在这坐了好久了，然后这些学生还真的挺可爱的，挺善良的吧。感觉如果走的话，就心里空落落的吧。对这些顾客还是也有些还是有点牵挂的吧。
在这座城市失去了你，输给欲望高涨的自己，不是你过分的感情，而我爱你。
مساء الخير. أول مرة دخلت فيها الأزياء كمهنة كانت 2007 بعد رحلة رجعت فيها من لندن، وشفت الأزياء وشفت العالم اللي تقريبا ما نشوفه إحنا كل يوم بالكويت، فشدني الموضوع. ولكن شغفي بالأزياء امتد من الطفولة، لأن من كنت صغير كانت الوالدة تقتني لي أجمل الملابس اللي ممكن تكون بالسوق من علامات تجارية كبيرة. بلشت أساساً حتى 2007 كانت ملابس رجالية فقط، وبلشت بماكينتين حتى لأن أنا أسست البزنس مالي من الصفر، وكانت بمساعدة من السيدة صبيحة خزعل اللي أوجه لها تحية، اللي هي أساساً عطتني ماكينتين جابت لي إياهم وبلشت مشواري بالأزياء. وبنفس الوقت حسيت ان انا محتاج اكون مميز، ولان انا تقريبا انفصلت عن العائله او اعتمدت على نفسي ماديا اكثر، وانا اغلب الملابس اللي اشتريها تكون غاليه الثمن. فشلون انت ممكن تشتري ملابس غاليه وتلبس وبنفس الوقت تكون مميز وانت ما عاد صار عندك ميزانيه للملابس؟ فهني صرت انا اصمم لنفسي والبس، فصاروا الناس يسالوني من وين انت تجيب ملابسك وهالاسئله هذه. بعدين صرت انا قلت ان لقيت انه والله في مساحه بالسوق تسمح لي ان انا انتج خط ازياء. ارت كولكشن هي كانت الكولكشن الاولى اللي انا سويتها، واللي هي خاصه بفهد بوتيك. طبعا انا كنت حاط رساله، توقعت هالرساله تصير ب 2030 الا انها صارت ب 2020 واللي هي الكورونا والاحداث كلها اللي حدثت. انا استخدم في ازيائي اكواد. عاده الكولكشن ما اربطها في سنه، إنما أربطها في أرقام، والأرقام هذه أنا بالنسبة لي تعني شيء، بس أنا قاعد أتكلم عن الكولكشن الخاص فيني وليس الكولكشن اللي ممكن يكون تجاري. أزيائي أنا نمطية مثل ما قلت، لها نيش. طبعا مع الوقت أنت تستوعب أن أنت محتاج أنك تكون أكثر كوميرشال أو أنك تجاري أكثر عشان تبيع وتدخل مدخول أكبر. فبديت أخلي ملابسي شوية تجارية ولكن ليست تقليدية. يعني ممكن أنت تحط 3-4 تصاميم تقليدية أنت تعدل عليها، تحط الخط مالك أنت كمصمم، وتصميمين 3 ممكن يكون بيسك، يعني ما تقدر حتى تقول إنه تقليدي، يعني ما في تصميم كثر ما إنه شيء ممكن السوق يحتاجه بشكل يومي.
Nós abrimos em dezembro, nós fizemos uma festinha, foi no dia 13 de dezembro, e no dia 16 de dezembro nós começamos a funcionar o café, com o objetivo de levar o nome do Brasil, né, e vegano, né, em paz com todos os animais e ainda levar o nome do Brasil também. Para nós foi uma surpresa imensa, porque quando nós abrimos, no dia da festa, a gente convidou todos os vizinhos para virem. Tivemos música ao vivo brasileira, um amigo tocando aquele ukulele, né? E música brasileira. E no dia nós fizemos coxinha, pizza e cerveja brasileira, Brahma. E quantas pessoas vieram? Umas 200 pessoas vieram para a festa. Não era na época do lockdown, então deu para 200 pessoas passaram. Nós fizemos num sábado, foi o dia inteiro entrando e saindo gente. E aí a gente achou que ia ser devagar, né? Quando a gente abriu mesmo para o público na segunda-feira, já lotou de gente, lotou. E foi assim, lotava todos os dias, sábado então era impossível conseguir mesa. A gente sempre cozinhou, mas aquela cozinha caseira, sempre chamou os amigos, todo mundo adorava ir em casa. Já viu o Brasil como é, né? Vamos lá pro fundo, e senta e come. E aí a gente começou a estudar muito, né? Aqui começou toda a aventura mesmo. Foi uma aventura, tá sendo ainda. Nunca tivemos restaurante. Foi uma loucura, Era um sonho grande de abrir um café, muito tempo atrás, e a gente começou com tudo. Guildford, bem, a gente sempre morou em Londres, a gente voltou para o Brasil, ficamos 5 anos no Brasil. Depois o meu filho, namorando, né, uma menina inglesa, a Laura, ela sempre, quando ela era criança, ela nasceu por perto, né? E ela amava Guildford. Aí ela trouxe meu filho para conhecer, ele também adorou Guildford. Acolhedora, uma cidade pequena, porque a gente é do interior do Brasil, né? Interior de São Paulo. Então a gente se sentiu assim, bem parecido com aquilo, né? Todo mundo diz bom dia, todo mundo se conhece. E foi bem difícil para nós. A gente estava aprendendo com o café ainda e logo já veio o lockdown. E aí nós tivemos que reaprender com o café. Aí nós tivemos que correr atrás de delivery, takeaway, para poder manter o café aberto. Então a comunidade daqui foi assim, nossa, o que ajudou muito a gente. Então foi aí que a gente conseguiu manter, né, aberto.
Eles não fecharam, ficaram só 2 semanas fechados, né?
Um mês e meio fechado. No lockdown a gente fechou a primeira vez.
Mas logo que retornou, eles já começaram a trabalhar. O mais importante é realmente agradecer a comunidade.
Agradecer todo mundo. Agradecer vocês estarem aqui de tal. Ah, que bom, a gente ficou honrado de estar aqui com a gente. E convidar mesmo as pessoas para virem conhecer. Porque o mais legal é saber que a gente pode servir uma comida, comida gostosa, caseira.
E que é popular no Brasil.
Que é popular no Brasil e não sentem nenhuma diferença. Você visa a comida boa, caseira e sem animal nenhum, né? Sem nada origem animal. Então é isso.
So I've been working on Beyond Contempt for almost a year now, and it's more or less my reason to get out of bed. If I wasn't doing this, I really don't know what I would be doing, and it's honestly me just channeling my whole upbringing into, the expression of clothes. Me doing it for at least a year has kind of made it easy for me to look back and see how far shit has come. So the whole idea of Beyond Contempt is when you look at things that are meaningless and kind of overlooked. And a lot of my fabrics are recycled, and in South Harrow, which is where I'm from, there isn't too much that is going on. So I think it's a big area where it's overlooked. My favorite saying so far that I've come across is that we make noise and not clothes, because I think to look at things with any limit on it's only going to hinder you. It's about the impact of what you're doing, not the specifics. So I've been using the industrial machine for almost half a year, but when I was starting out with my other projects, I was using my grandma's and granddad's old sewing stuff. And more or less, I don't have a huge family, so as soon as I get heirlooms like that, I kind of have to have a connection to them. But at the same time, when you want to make this a big brand and work hard, you can't really be using a 30-year-old machine. So I invested in an industrial machine, which, I mean, I can roll my spliffs, I can sew, I can pull my shit on here. It just makes life easy for me. So I think New York is definitely, was kind of like, I can look back and say that that was the time of my life. I'm only 19, so it is kind of dumb to say, but that was literally my first show. I was kind of thrown into the deep end. I had maybe a couple yards of recycled fabric on me, and I took to New York with my mom for her 50th birthday. So we weren't out there for anything specific. I got a text saying that my friend had a show on Friday. I didn't have any intentions of being at the center of it. That was me being thrown into the deep end and having to like work out what I actually want to do. I knew the feeling that I got from that was something I wanted again. It was like, it's like chasing adrenaline. The fact that I was feeling this way of how I was in New York, I just kept wanting to relive that. Every single piece I make, when I finish it, it's euphoric. Like I'm a junkie for it. Like it's all I want to do 24/7. Jack was essential in my whole upbringing. I mean, my parents aren't particularly creative, so for me and my brother, we kind of just have to get off the porch and get shit moving. There wasn't really an alternative at the time. I didn't do too crazy at school. I didn't do too crazy in anything else. So as soon as I saw him running around Soho at 14, you know, running into stores, grabbing clothes and being in that whole scene, I kind of had to chase that. He's the reason that I do most of this, because he showed me that you can literally come from an area like here and have fuck all to do and still end up in the most ridiculous places. So being around the people that I've been around and got to know over the last year, I've gotten to really stupid places, and I ended up being in a hotel room where Princess Diana slept in before. Like Kanye West had listening parties there. Pretty much all of my favorite musicians in one room, and I ended up spending the night in this room, sleeping in some fat bed, coming home the next day in the morning and going straight to work, to my 9 to 5. I'm literally stuck in a warehouse and I'm dealing with bullshit all day. So for me, my 9 to 5 is a big part of what I do, because it kind of just keeps you humble and keeps you focused. This has basically been my bedroom for the last year as well. So I've kind of spent every single day in here for the last 365 days. And every single time I come here, by having this on the wall, I know exactly where I'm at. And from left to right, it's more or less just my brain exploded on the wall. Every single thought that I have ends up on here. And my aim is to cover this entire room with my ideas and eventually leave this as a memento behind. So in South Harrod, it's just going to be all my ideas in a box and 4 walls.
How much footage time is that?
I'm gonna be.
Do you want me to move it out of the way?
Spare battery. It's alright, because.
So Alex, can you tell me about?
I said a
Tell me about.
This guy turned Canadian, cause
I'm a fucking Canadian.
Jak jest Marcel, na początku nie znał nikogo, a teraz Polska w moim sercu. ESS, all 3K, Freaky, TMP, la. Jeden kawałek, dwa języki, to dobry towar, sopalistyki. Czujesz vibe, to dragi odstaw, najlepszy rap, Londyn to Wrocław. Idę po ciebie, it's going down. Zawałki, soon see me in your town. Iść do domu, drzwi, rip that out. Byliśmy braćmi, not now. Jesteś ciota, biłeś wąż. Jak mogłeś to zrobić, how? Nie masz tu miłe proud. Angol po polsku sound.
Are you on again?
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
You was just telling us about Ponglish, how it's become like a thing.
Oh yeah, so it became like a slang thing, right?
Yeah.
And like obviously it's like the way that you speak to each other, basically. It's like the way that you speak to each other, yeah. So it's just like when you'd speak in a way where it's like half English, half Polish, or even just like, say if you was explaining something to someone, and then you'd be like, oh, it's czapka pierdolniczka, and then you're like, czapka pierdolniczka, you don't explain it with English, you just explain it again in Polish as if that makes sense, and you're literally speaking to an English person who doesn't speak Polish, because we literally do speak in a way where it will be like a sentence where, like in Polish, they'll say something like, if the sentence is this in English, it's that in Polish.
Right.
You only have to say the key points.
You rap it in English and in Polish.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I got stranded in Poland like a real G. It's good fun. Yeah, long story short, there was some madnesses that was all going down, and there was like a lot of money involved, and then also like a physical thing that happened. It ended up being loads of things all at once in this same period of time, and I was also most wanted in Croydon, so I was like, just fuck this shit, man. So I went and I got a plane cut, because obviously Marcel, this guy that I had taken off the street who was Polish and that, he was like, come Poland, and I was like, yeah. Got to Poland and this motherfucker had to, like didn't meet me, took all of my shit. I couldn't speak no Polish and shit. I was like all stranded and shit. But then I learnt the language.
Hey, you stab me in my back, and I wanna know your reason. You know that the next time I see you catch another beating. Yo, you ain't one up on me, I'm gonna make it even. Wish I didn't save your life, now I feel like an Egypt. Should've let my brother stab you and just left you bleeding. You might have made me feel some pain, but trust you'll share that feeling. And I ain't ever wanna.
What was your first exposure to rap?
Yeah. I don't know, I grew up with like Jamaican culture and shit around me and stuff, and obviously English culture and shit, garage, all that was around when we was kids, so that's what we grew up with. It was always spitting was always a thing. Alton Heath in Croydon, it's like, it used to be called North Croydon. Obviously not when I was alive, but yeah. I reckon Croydon like has got its like graffiti roots and its like hip hop roots deep, but it's like the birthplace of dubstep, isn't it?
Yeah. What started you rapping? I know. I
think just being like a cocky little shit always, like being like the person I was or whatever, being a fat ginger eye patch wearing fucking ugly bastard with glasses. Do you know what I mean? I was like, bro, I need all the attention I can get for some reason, so I just used to just gun people and shit.
Hey, everyone here remember the Brighton tryouts, yeah? Remember when this guy left straight after he took the L? Nah? It's because you're so fucking short when you left the crowd, people couldn't tell.
By the time I'm like 11, 12, I'm like rapping. Even UK hip hop and that, like I grew up listening to it, and like my cousins was into it, my brother was into it, so I used to get given albums and shit. Since I was 14, I've been going to fucking hip hop nights and shit. And you're supposed to be 18 or something, and obviously I looked older, but do you know what I mean? Like people were safe to me, it's safe as fuck, always. People was always like, if you want to rap, you know what I mean? Music's music, isn't it? It's not the same as something else.
Sam Batman, Ketsu Krzysie, Ketsu przestań, przypał życie, nie narzekam. W moim mieście jestem szaman, stara szkoła to pamiętam. Lie to me, told me they hot man. Chcesz coś ode mnie to błagaj. Ekipę tu silna, a jak? Hey, seriady big team, ale nie ma.
In Poland, my Polish speaking was very like basic. It was all like, you know what I mean? Like, can I have this, please? Please, I can. And I used to say, please, thank you all the time and use the whole sentence. And then you realise that they don't do that, bro. Yeah. I was only in Poland for like 4.5 months, but I just learnt really fucking quick. And then I lived with like 600 Polish people for another 4 months. Then came back, obviously since then, my life is Polish basically. I live with Polish people. I've mainly lived with Polish people except for when I was with my ex or whatever. Other than that, it's basically just my life is pretty Polish.
Well, they were very strange because actually the one thing I knew I never ever wanted to do was anything to do with pottery. Some friends one day invited me to go and stay for the weekend, and I was delighted. Supper, staying, lovely. And at the last minute, last end of this invitation, Tim Harrison, the sculptor who invited me, said, "And on Sunday, Johanna's going to take you into the pottery and teach you how to make a pot." And I went, no. "Oh, how lovely, Tim." So I had to do it. And of course, I did it, went in with them, dreading it, and Johanna actually, I thought I was going to have to throw, a great big lump of clay and it was going to shoot all over the room. As I tried that, centering. And she actually rolled out these clay worms. And then she made a base, and then she started to build a pot with the worms, building and pinching. And then after a little bit, she said, of teaching me, she said, "Now you do it." So I began, and I don't remember them leaving the pottery. I don't remember them going away. I don't remember them bringing a tray with lunch on it for me. I was absolutely lost in it. I just loved it. And I think it was largely because it was so much like making sculpture. It was hands-on, hands-eye, hands-making, and I love making. But I thought, animals would be great. They hadn't really captured my attention in the same way that now I was drawing animals and thinking about them and imagining them in order to draw them. I started looking and seeing how glorious animals, how glorious, their fur and their feather and all the kind of textile, decorative feel of it would work beautifully on a pot. Any animal you take, it would be all the decorative side of pots. But my patterns, what had happened to them? So at the beginning, before I did the run-and-up pot, the pattern bit had started to go around the collar. So all of the pots from that period have got a collar with intricate patterns. But now it was the spaces between the images that were capturing me. And of course you can never ignore whatever you're doing, but and so there's no room for pattern. And I'd always thought, pretty much from the beginning, that the interior was an exciting other surface. So I had gone on extending that decorative approach to the inside. Yes, it's hard. It's a struggle. I think every artist, I'm sure, must find it a struggle to be able to garner the time that is needed, because really you need all day, every day, and that's hard. Actually, yes. No, I think my advice. I think the only advice really would be that you stick to your guns. Never let the commercial world interfere with you in any way. That would be possibly it mustn't infer any kind of anything on you. The piece of work is the only thing, and it doesn't matter if it's going nowhere. You are developing your art. Your art, it's a sacred gift.
It's quite a simple thing, to be honest. It's about making people happy, because at the end of the day, we know food has the power to change moods. What I try to do, that moment where people take the first bite of your food and then they are speechless, they don't know what to say. That's my favorite thing to do. Hi, I'm Ganesh. I'm 31 this year, and I'm currently pursuing my career as a chef. I started learning how to cook probably about 6 to 7 years ago. At that point in time, I didn't know how to use rice cooker, I didn't know how to use stove. It was all quite alien to me. The first time I tried to make my own meal, what I did was I went into Coles. I bought a instant rice kind of thing. So it's actually rice, cooked rice, which is vacuum packed, and then there was this canned chicken curry by Yo's. So I put those two together, and then I had chicken curry and rice, and it was probably one of the worst meals I ever had. It was that day I kind of decided, what, I really have to pick up the skill of cooking. I enlisted in the army in 2011. The army was really something I loved. I enjoyed being in the army. Every single day, whether it's training, whether it's doing your missions and stuff like that. Then it came a point where I started cooking and I started getting good at it. For me, it felt like a kind of a turning point, because I knew I wanted to make something out of this. And given the fact that I'm not young in that sense, because the chef industry, you need time. It's a long runway. So, given the circumstances, I thought it was the right time to leave the armed force. It was not an easy decision to make. It was really one of the toughest decisions I've made in my life. Biryani Brothers, it's formed by two of us, myself and my best friend Daryl. Our plans were actually to start a hawker, and then COVID hit and we decided it's not the right time to do so, and we went ahead with the online home-based business concept. I sell two dishes, which is chicken and mutton biryani. The day starts like me going to the market, getting fresh produce, and then eventually coming back, setting up my kitchen and starting the cooking. Normally it takes me about 6 hours, depends on the number of orders. Usually by 5:30, I'm ready with all the food packed up and ready to go. The thing about cooking is there needs to be some kind of inspiration. If you're not inspired, you cannot cook. That's just what it is. In order to be inspired, you need to go out, you need to try the food, you need to speak to people. That's how you get inspiration. Singapore's food scene is amazing. We've got so many cultures, there's so many different types of food, but sometimes you need to go beyond. There are many countries I want to explore. I want to go to India, for example. Indian cuisine is my strongest suit. It's what I do best. And exploring India is one of the things I really want to do, because there are so many states, right? And each state cooks chicken or lamb or fish differently. It's all about being inspired by the culture of the countries. So I hope I can gain some inspiration from other countries as well, and try to bring Singapore food as well to the next level. People always say that if you enjoy what you do, then you're not going to work at all. So I take that quite strongly, and because I love cooking so much. Of course, serving people, when they eat, they enjoy the food. It's all about giving people a good experience, when they have my food.
Well, I'm Nashwa. That's my full name, but I prefer to go by Nash. It's short and neutral. I grew up in this very sort of countryside setting, and so nature is always a big part of what I do. So I'm not quite used to cities and busy places. My family's quite musical rather than visually artistic, though my dad did used to paint. And I he always says I get it from him. I live with my grandparents as well in my permanent residence. They're interesting people because they actually were born not in this country. They were born in Pakistan, to the east, and honestly the culture shock and the difference, I'm very proud of them to have come here, and I'm very proud to have been born here, as I am of my dad. So I come from quite a different culture to here, and I feel like that sort of bleeds into what I do sometimes, especially with things like colours and patterns. I adore those things.
What forms of art do you mostly choose to use?
Well, in terms of mediums, I tend to gravitate towards watercolours. They were introduced to me first. I got my first set. It was cheap, it was chalky. It did the job though. As I grew more competent in watercolour, I graduated to more professional sets, and now I have about 5 or 6 of them, which I'm proud to own. I am particularly drawn to surrealism because I feel like that's what you can't get with oftentimes with photographs, especially with without editing them. And I just enjoy the pure imagination, creativity. That's kind of what I want to bring to the table in my art career. I'm inspired by Guillermo del Toro, the director. He has a great sense of character design and set design. I love the colours he chooses to, he gets a very precise atmosphere, and it often makes me want to just paint the scenes in his movies.
Okay. And how has the recent COVID-19 lockdown affected you, both on a personal level and also how has it affected your artwork and your course?
Well, personally, it's sort of had a negative impact on me because I've not been able to go home this entire time. I miss my family. I'm craving to go outside and do things, even though I'm an introvert. It's making me stir crazy, and so I know it's making everyone else stir crazy. In terms of my artwork, I'd say you'd think I'd have a lot more time for it, but you spend a lot of time sort of online and talking to other people online, faffing around on your computer or your phone, trying to sort of do things you would do physically on the internet. And so I feel like that takes up a lot of my time trying to just figure out how to live in this pandemic. After I graduate, I am hoping to become a graphic novelist. I collect graphic novels. I've met other comic writers, graphic novelists. They're the most wonderful people, and they make the most wonderful things. It's sort of sequential art, narrative in art. Things that tell stories are a very big inspiration for me. It's what I want to do. Ever since I got my first comic book, ever since I got my first graphic novel, that's what I've wanted to do. It sort of brings things to life. It's not like reading a book, it's more than that.
We have
families or individuals coming to collect their food parcels. We also have another distribution centre open, and that's on Fridays down in Farnham at Church House, which tends to be a busier day. And again, people come and collect their food parcels. Our referral agencies are the schools, social services, churches.
Was there a bigger demand during
Initially,
lockdown?
we had a 300% increase.
Wow.
It all settled down.
Yeah.
And now we're trending 50% increase more
Right.
than
Yeah.
last year.
I've been helping with Food Bank, I don't know, about 10 years, I think. But it hasn't always been on this scale. I know it went up and it's kept on going up, and we anticipate a big increase coming in soon with all the redundancies. Well, originally all the people over 70 stopped, we were asked to, but I've come back again, as you can see. I'm well over 70, because I'm perfectly safe like this. I don't sort of have any contact with the public, and we mask up. And I'm just doing one little job out of the whole lot that's being done. Well, there's mixed bags of food, whatever's just come in, and we have a good look at it, make sure it's in date, write the date on clearly, so that the people who pack don't have to scrabble around looking for a date. But we've got quite a production line going here now. I used to do the whole thing when we had the small teams, so it's running like a car plant.
I'll do Brixby Hill first. Where is, that's Ash, that's the Fall at Ash. Okay, so let's...
I've probably been doing it for 2 or 3 months now, I think, yeah. I answered there was a request for help, came out in the local church news sheet, and took it up, and I was lucky enough to get selected. From my perspective, it's been any more deliveries, because I think most of the deliveries are meant to be picked up by the people, and I don't think I've seen any more, although today they had a second person doing some deliveries, I understand, so there might be more.
I feel that Food Bank's doing a good job.
Oh, I think so. I am really impressed when I see the way that Mel and Harriet organise the central warehouse, because I do sort of 2 jobs. I bring stuff from the central warehouse down to the distribution centre, and I do on a Wednesday, and I do deliveries on a Friday. And I just look at the way they manage the warehouse, and they do a fantastic job, I think. Really, really good. But I mean, I can't really comment because I don't really know what the government does, but I guess the advantage of the food bank is it's working on a local level, and you've got local Farnham, local somewhere else, so they can more easily address the needs of people.
The Trussell Trust, which is the charity under which the food bank here in Farnham is opening, have a new kind of strand which they're starting to develop and wanting to emphasise, which is actually to help remove the need for people to have food banks, which is strange to do yourself out of a job. The need for food banks has been recognised in recent times, and quite often people feel that shows that the government and local authorities are not actually doing what they should do to actually prevent that, or to meet the need for those who are in need of food.
Normally helping you carry the bag. Yeah, she normally does, yeah. But she didn't want to get filmed. No, she said, I'm not coming with you today, Mum. I said, oh well. I said, how shy are you then?
Yeah, there's a high demand on everything at the moment, shortage of everything. It's a race to get food out of the stores and stuff like that. It's just dreadful. People lose their sleep over it. If it wasn't for Food Bank, we'd be in a major crisis for all the families. Every time I come here, there's always loads of families that need this support, and we are so lucky to have Food Bank to look after us in this area.
So can you please go into detail and explain what happened between the 9th of October 2016 and 20th of December 2016?
So in 2016 we were living in Sutton, and you know, our rent was going up every single year, and it was just getting harder for my mum, because it's literally me and my mum and my brother. It was just getting harder for her to pay her rent, and it got to the point where we just couldn't do it anymore. So before that time period, we tried to look for more houses, couldn't find any, and then yeah, it resulted in us on the 9th of October us being evicted from my house because we couldn't afford it anymore. I remember that day. I can't remember the day that it was, but I know it was a school day because I remember finishing school and went to pick up my brother, and my mum told me that we were moving to Hounslow in a temporary accommodation. Between that time, we were staying in the accommodation that was given to us, but yeah, between then we were going to my nan's to have dinner and have shower, or we were going to who my mum's current boyfriend was at the time. We were going to his place to again have shower, have dinner, have all this, because if you think as well, like it was winter, so we had to be like kind of somewhere that we kind of knew that we're going to guarantee have heating and hot water and all that. It was, even though it was like 3 months or 10 weeks, it did feel like a long time. Every weekend I would go see my dad, because at the time me and my brother were still staying with him. So it was nice to have that kind of little break from everything that was going on. But it's just like, when you're like 15 years old and you're basically going to one house to another house to another house to another house, another house, having dinner, shower, it's just a lot. But yeah, it was...
Could you say that there was like, you didn't feel like you had a place that felt like home?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right, so now if we move on to the more like recent, you are now 18, 19?
19.
Wow, time flies. 19, so you told me you work. Of course you go to college. So what does a typical day of yours or week of yours look like?
So right now I'm studying at college, but at a university level, doing film and TV. So although it's full-time education, I'm only in 3 days a week. So I would normally go in for them days, and then on the weekend I work part-time at a theme park as a ride attendant. Yeah, like it's hard to get a job these days, but luckily I've been working for the last 2 years. I've had 2 jobs, working for the last 2 years, so I managed to make my own money, because obviously still living with a single parent, not a lot of money comes to you, so you have to get out there and make your own money. But yeah, I'll just go to college, study at home, chill whenever I have free time, and then I'll go to work on the weekend.
So during the first lockdown, of course, you had to homeschool your brother because he has special needs. Of course, he couldn't go to school. That doesn't make sense. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And your mum being...
He doesn't go to school.
Your mum being a key worker, she had to go to work. So was that hard to do because he has special needs? How was it?
It was hard because, he doesn't understand as well as we do. Like, it takes him a while to understand a simple maths problem. And with my mum not around, it was just kind of challenging to basically control him. Mum would normally do quite long shifts, sometimes 9 till 5, which is not typically what she does. She normally does 9 till 1. But with the whole pandemic and stuff, she had to stay longer due to that. But I think once we got the hang of what the routine was each day, he kind of got used to it. So he knew, like, okay, so I'm doing maths today or I'm doing English today. So he kind of understood like the kind of routine schedule that he had. And I always used to say to him, like, the quicker you get this done, the quicker you can go off and do your own thing. So it was tough in the beginning, but I think after a couple of weeks we got used to it. We got through it, just about.
一路好像就开始一直做这行啦，因为做销售要胆子大嘛，就觉得自己胆子也蛮大的，就不像如果做销售害羞的话，肯定不能促成你们成交业绩啊。这边开门是9点，9点开始上班。
也蛮危险的，越小其实很危险哦。
像我们早班一来就要把展柜整理起来，摆放甜品，然后开始一天的销售。然后我们先拿的话，微信单然后负责微信单，就很多客人都转化成线上客人，就越加越多，越加越多，5000多，我们现在微信的人已经有3000多了。这边是总店嘛，所以比较忙一点。那配合有其他家，所以上班会比其他店。基本上像早班就我一个人，我就全部都要负责啊，点单、收银、上餐、打包。这样我订这款直接发给你们了。
没打折吗？
我抽200，我送20，直接抵扣。有加了微信吗？
有啊。
有，那你再打给我一下。
My name's Lucy Burley. and I'm a potter or a ceramicist. It's the same thing. It's my life, really. Pottery became my passion. I went to art college quite late. I was already in my 30s. I'd had a previous career in television, which was enjoyable up to a point, but I found it unsatisfying because I wasn't doing anything very creative. And by chance, I started going to art classes, and that developed into my studying ceramics. I did a foundation course, and I discovered that ceramics was where I wanted to be. That was the discipline that I was most happy with. And I started doing my degree in 1993 in Camberwell in London. And since then, ceramics has been the bedrock, the basis of my life. It makes me happy. It's a lifetime's commitment. I will never know everything about ceramics, so for the rest of my life I will be discovering. So yes, it has given me a purpose, really. There's no aspects really of ceramics that I don't enjoy. Between ourselves, I'm not that keen on the marketing. I prefer the making. Clay is a very tactile medium. It's great to get your hands into it. It took me a while to learn the technique. Once you learn it, it is like a bicycle. You'd never forget it. There are lots of negative aspects of making, particularly in the ceramic medium. It is fraught with potential problems, technical problems. I do experience those often, and it's frustrating. I am lucky in that I have solved most of my technical problems so far, but there will always be other ones. Some of them are in my control. For instance, after you've made something out of clay, you have to leave it until it's completely dry, called bone dry, before you put it in the kiln. If you're impatient and you fire it too early, it can explode and then it can ruin everything in the kiln. And I have done that a few times, just because I want the pots to be ready. So I have to be very strict with myself. When I'm throwing, I'm not really thinking about anything else. I'm very focused on the object that I'm making. So if my mind wanders and my attention wanders, then the form can be lost. So I'm really thinking all the time, how thin is the wall? How tall is this? Do I need more water? It's all very much in the moment, focused on the form. I'm inspired by so many things, not just ceramicists, but painters, particularly Giorgio Morandi, a still life painter. Other inspiration comes from the natural world. I just look at the world around me and I seek to create colours which are in the landscape. I like my work to have a sense of harmony, of form and colour. I'm never short of ideas. I have very rarely sat and thought, what shall I make? I would encourage anyone who has a vague interest in ceramics or any art, any creative pursuit, I would encourage anyone to have a go because it's so rewarding. You can't know what it's like until you've experienced making something, whether it is a pot or a painting or a film. There's nothing better than creativity. It makes life worthwhile.
Amrut Natyama Bukaya.
I just do things like that. Going.
Ulanaya tiene quieto kushime kuetiesh. Elenia tie quienta hu. Elakoya. Elakoya. And before I opened the first one, quietly thinking, what is colour? I asked myself, and my answer came, colour is life. And colour is our emotional language, it's our spiritual, it's a sort of universal voice. It's a phenomena like when you look at a rose or a flower, and it's formed, it's come from the darkness, its seed, it's grown into the light, and it shows its colour and its smell. And my name is Heather Golding, and I'm very fond of the name Heather, being my gift by my parents of nature, a flower that grows everywhere. I have a profound love of nature. I'll begin by sharing that I went to Glasgow School of Art. I was very blessed to have been there to do a 3-year degree in printed textiles. As a child, I wanted to be a ballerina. All I wanted to do was dance. And I had a hip problem from a very young age that I had to go into hospital and then learn to walk again, and I couldn't dance. But I think it has guided my life in a very different way. And I became very, very sensitive to colour, to art, to living within, to sewing, but living very creatively, because I couldn't be as active as I hoped. That came later though, I haven't lost it. Hawaii. It came to me as if a whisper, as if I was sort of hearing it in the wind, and I just really embodied it and realised, I think even when I speak, it affects my sound, it affects my whole being, because what I've understood over time is it's my soul name, it's my relationship with spirit. And Hula Naya, when I mentioned it to my dear friend in Hawaii, he said, in Hawaiian, Naya means dolphin, and hula is the sacred dance of spirit. So I felt very blessed. I was being honoured and given this name. When my grandmother passed away and left me some money, it was enough that I just knew, my whole being knew I needed to go to Hawaii and be with wild dolphins. And there was no question. And I'd had that feeling for a couple of years. It was like a calling. I have to go to Hawaii. And the whole pace of life there, so different, that it really did. It brought me closer to nature, and even to be around mother's baby dolphins, and experiencing a whole way of being that is beyond language. I feel all these years later, they knew my illness, they knew what I needed, and had called me the other side of the world. The dolphins connect you to your true nature because they see you and they know you. For me, they're our mystery and our miracle. And they maybe put a seed within me that I have carried through ever since. When I sing, I embody colour. I particularly mentioned this one I recorded in St Andrew's Church, and it's all inspired, the whole album is colour for me. So it's recorded with a harpist, and it's called Kutara. And what we would do, so say we would embody red. So she would think red, and it's very organic. I would become red, and once I felt I was red, I would begin to sing. And a red song is totally different to a turquoise song I'm wearing. And I'd then, we'd go turquoise, and I'd embody turquoise, and we'd just experience those colours through sound. And to me, the sound, colour is a vibration. It is it's a frequency, and so to become it, it then expresses what it is and what it might have to say. And for me, that's how colour, I might be feeling something, I might think of a colour and hum it or sing, and through doing that and becoming the colour, it calms. And over the years, it really has been my medicine, and so is my art. If I didn't draw, I couldn't function. I've had Lyme's disease for many years, which is a very mysterious illness, and people don't know if it ever really leaves you. It would come to me in dreams. I was even shown in a dream one night a pencil and a paper, and they were both in light. And what I was shown in this dream is, this is your gift and it's your medicine, use it. There was a point I went and I met someone who did iridology, which is using your eyes for medicine. It's a form of, they look through your eyes, and through your eyes they can tell you where you may have challenges or health problems. And I was quite aware when I was drawing, I was receiving the colours through my eyes, therefore I was taking it into my body and almost speaking to it, saying, please go where you need to go to make me well. But if I didn't draw them, my bones wouldn't, I'd get problems with my bones, I'd get very weak. So it's shown me the power of art. The second journey to Hawaii was in 2004. I remember being invited to, it's probably one of the most profound nights of my life. And I began to hear a voice. There was a voice that very clearly, very softly said, please go and sing. There was no question at that point, I was going to go and sing. I took a deep breath and I just remember I had to surrender to this experience, and this very pure voice began to come through me that began to slowly take its own journey. And I just went with it. And it slowly evolved into another language. And I remember thinking, am I singing? Or is it the trees? Is it me or the stars? Because I felt at one with creation. For many years, I've been singing in St Andrew's Church in Farnham. And I would have every Wednesday a sanctuary where people would come and be able to listen to me singing and playing my flutes. I love, my passion is bringing different cultures together, different styles of music, different traditions, dance. I suppose in unity it's love.
Right, coffee, there we go. We need a cup of coffee, something hot on a day like today. Goodness me, I don't know where this weather's come from today.
Well, it can disappear, you can't see over the valley at all.
I know, it's all across the valley, all across, in every direction.
Well, we are in winter now.
I know, but I mean, yesterday was a much brighter, better day. And then prior to that, all we got was rain still.
And you got more rain today.
It's good for the garden. That'll mean the grass will grow.
We'll get floating the boat.
And there's still some apples on the lawn for the birds.
Yeah, the field
one or
fairs
two
haven't done yet.
one or two on the trees. The woodpecker hasn't been back. But
Oh, not that we know of.
no, haven't seen it. No.
He has
And we
let it
never
go
get
somewhere else.
the green woodpecker
No, he's
anymore, do
drunk,
we?
he's had all the cider.
I don't know. Seems to have disappeared.
Oh, train! Look, train!
Oh, gosh. All right. Yeah. Oh well, that's. Oh, they just must be moving. They must be moving some carriages prior to.
That's a little one.
prior to starting the.
No, that was a Sprinter.
The light, was it?
Yeah, the Sprinter.
Just testing the line.
I would imagine so.
Because sometimes I know they do that. They just test the. They test the line.
God,
Thing
you drink
is-
your coffee so hot.
No, I know. Thing
Cast
is,
iron guts.
what shall we do? What shall we do this afternoon now? I could just be watching the watching the television, play a board game.
No, that's
Something like
dangerous
that.
apparently, because it's contaminated.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah. According to the government, board games are no.
Right.
Because you pick up the
You pick
the
the
shoe
germs
or the
up.
top
Well,
hat,
I'll
etc.
pick your germs. Up and you
yeah,
can
you've got
pick mine. So we just keep our fingers
The one
crossed.
thing is,
and
we're
hope
close
for
to
the
we're
best.
close to the dangerous age. You don't mind cutting the lawns. I hate cutting lawns.
Well, I
It's boring.
quite like cutting the lawns, but I do not like weeding.
Yeah,
so
I noticed
that falls to you.
You pull the plant out, but leave the roots in. But never mind.
Weeds are not my thing.
Well,
at all.
weeds are, and they say, are ordinary flowers in the wrong place.
That's right.
Could
yes,
be like
they
me in
do.
the wrong place, but still, never mind. You know, I like living here as such, but it is quiet. You know, it is, at the
Well,
evening it's deathly quiet. At some stage we can see our daughter and son-in-law, and,
Yeah.
Gareth and Trace and the boys. They're
We've
just
just
growing
got
up all the time, shooting up.
Yeah, we've just got to give it a go, and they like, you know,
Oh, Tracy loves
they
it down here.
like to come down here, yeah. But we'll see.
In the sense that, I mean, when the trains were running regularly through the village,
Yeah,
you knew they were there, but they were not obtrusive.
yeah,
Now it's, oh, there's a train just gone by.
yeah, yeah.
It's like the event of the day. It is strange.
You know, it's funny thinking about all these things and the times we've sort of been through. But I think the one thing I hope that we both value most of all is the fact that we've got one another's company.
We work
we've
together.
garden which we can work together in. You know, even though, as you say, I plant the things, you have to get the weeds out.
Marriage is a partnership, and it's it's a lifelong partnership.
That's right.
You have your arguments, you have your disagreements. And there's no such thing apart from yes, dear. Those three fantastic words. But two. All right then. You're arguing now. No, but it's togetherness. It's doing things together.
Yeah,
You're
that's
never
right.
going to agree. Everything is the same.
No, but we've been able to
it's
do
fine.
that.
It's fine.
Well,
I'm getting a little hungry.
You're getting a bit hungry, are
So
you?
I'm
Well, in
I'm
that case, then
famished.
I'd better go,
You're gonna go?
and start cooking.
Hang on then, I'll let you get that way.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, love.
What were you doing for tea?
Oh,
Lots of
bit
nice
surprise.
things. Oh, all right then. Okay.
So I'm Kate, and I'm part of the team that runs Helping Hands, Hampshire and Surrounds Dog Rescue. And we are a new rescue, but have been in the rescue world. Most of us have been in the rescue world for a long time.
Yeah, she's well ahead.
There's a team of around 30 volunteers, probably half of them come in weekly, and then there's other things that other people do.
Come on, look, what's this? Cheese. Right, look.
I have been doing mostly rescue work with Romanian dogs. There's a lot of stray dogs in Romania. There's a lot of history to do with that. And the acceptable level of violence towards them is quite, for me, unacceptable.
Oh, you're so good! Good boy, thank you. Oh, you guys are
I've seen cars drive over puppies in the road. They're rounded up by dog catchers. They're rounded up on a pole with a line at the end, so they're kind of strangled into the vans. They're tipped into the public shelters where they usually have 14 days. They can starve to death, they can be eaten by other dogs. It goes on and on. It is quite horrifying. Then if they're lucky, they are saved, they then can go to a private shelter, and then they're taken care of insofar as they're fed, they're safe. It depends on who's running the shelter and how big it is, really. Such as us and others can bring them over to the UK, rehabilitate them should they need it, and then get them an appropriate home. Because it is so abhorrent, especially the public shelters. It's not somewhere I'd ever want anybody to go. You've got to be tough to go there. And I really think it could break a person. You can't take hundreds of dogs. That's not how it can be, unfortunately. You have to, if you're going to, you might be able to pick 5. It does stay with you, the dogs you didn't pick. And I bet you every single rescuer that's been to a public shelter thinks the same. I bet you have flashbacks of why couldn't I help more, why. Why is it like this? You just do the bit you can. We've got Loki from Poland who's come from an horrific place. He's old, he can walk and he's okay here. He's being treated for any pain he might be in. He's come from a horrible, horrible place where I understand, there was somebody going in at night to kill the dogs, to take the numbers down. So I make sure with Loki, because I've realised he doesn't like it when it's dark. He's always got a light on. So it's that kind of thing he can't tell you. He can't tell you, well, actually the dark scares me because this is when the bad things happened. When he came, he was literally, we put him in his kennel, he was just shaking in the corner and trembling every time anyone went in or saw him. He was just shaking, and then gradually some of the volunteers who wanted to work specifically with him, they'd go in, they'd just sit there, they'd be very calm, they'd feed him from their hand, and gradually, they'd just touch him a little bit, and within sort of a few weeks, probably just a couple of weeks, he's okay with that. He's not okay with loud noises. He's had a rotten past. He's just happy to be here, happy to be safe, and happy to be fed and secure.
No, not going to go. No. Yeah, what do you think I am?
I would like for us, our small dog rescue, the way I see it sort of evolving is only in a small way. You've got to really think ahead if you're going to do this. Are you still going to be in a position to be there for those dogs you've rehomed in 10 years' time? So it is worth thinking about. That's why it's quite hard to have your own rescue, because that is actually you've got to have extra responsibilities.
I think it's a very big deal for parents and siblings to have to redefine how they see their child or their sibling. And it's okay that it's a big shock and you have to redefine all of your expectations. And I have to redefine mine. I've always wanted to get married and have kids and things to be relatively easy, and that's not, I don't want to be trans. It's just scary, right? There isn't a stat that makes it look positive.
And fistful of dollars stuck in my head. The music for the sort of the shoe size. It's the least appropriate music.
I knew I was sad and that I was unhappy, but that was normal, and it still is normal to a large degree. I've never been happy. or rather, I've always had to fight to be happy. Happy has not ever been my default state. The time when things became most clear was about a year and a bit ago. I started on some medication for anti-anxiety, and the metaphor I've always used it for is if you're on a boat and you kept coming into shore and your hull's all smashed up and you couldn't work out why. You knew you were hitting rocks but you couldn't see them. And then the tide went down, or the sea level went down a metre or so, and suddenly you could see all the rocks you'd been crashing into all this time. And that's what it's been like. It's not that there's anything new, but I can now focus and spot the things that were causing a lot of the problems. I had always assumed that I was unlovable growing up. And that was what I'd been told by schoolmates and whatever, that I was unlovable and that ugly and awful. And I'd assumed that was my place. That was what was meant to happen. And if you can't love yourself, and if you can't see yourself having a future, then how you appear is a lot less relevant. And how you appear to yourself is less relevant, because because in your head you're not meant to be happy. That's not your job. It's not what's meant. You're meant to be unhappy. I want to look nice, as everyone does, and these are the clothes that suit me. And you don't, in a big way, you don't want that to be a big deal. You don't want it to be a big deal that you're wearing the clothes that you want. You want it to be exactly the same as if any other person goes, that outfit makes you look good, I want to wear that. Most days now I wake up and in the mirror I'm upset. Like, there isn't really a night I don't wake up where I wish that the facial hair would just stop. Like, maybe it would just literally if it was a ball of string, that's the last millimetre and it's just going to pop out and then that's done. And that's obviously never going to happen because that's not how facial hair works, but it's like it feels like having worms under my skin almost. Or I look and I see that I don't have curves, or I just don't look how I'm meant to, and I want to get a carving knife and carve into it sometimes almost. Obviously I don't, but those are the sort of urges that one can get if you have dysphoria. Just so uncomfortable with your body that it's like an anathema to what you want, that it's wrong. It's not that you don't like it, it's that it's wrong. I am on a waiting list, as are far too many people, for a gender identity clinic, but the waiting list for that is, so it's given at 38 months, but that is the people that they are seeing now went on the waiting list 38 months ago. Those waiting lists have been going up for the last 5 years, which is fucking ridiculous. There's a line that I will always go back to, which is a line Galadriel says to Frodo, which is, "May this be a light to you in the dark places when all other lights go out." And it's about having hope in the face of absolutely nothing. There's a lot of that, and there's a lot of wisdom that is said by like Gandalf to Frodo or whatever. It's about hoping and just trying to do the right thing in this most horrible, when fear is all around.
John.
Cara, eu vou te mostrar. 请问您的年龄是
？34。
你现在在做的工作是什么？
自营嘛。
不是具体做哪些？
开麻辣烫店。
他们还是通过那个商家才能联系得到的。小青菜要吧，给你换一点。
而且还有一些其他的兼职。
有空的时候跑外卖。
以前他妈的班特别多，以前跑的人少。今天啊，他早班一般都是早上7点钟到晚上7点钟，12个小时，必须要跑这个。没写吧？啊，没写几桩。
拜拜。
autism. It's a really hard question to answer because it's just the way I am, so I can't say what it necessarily is because it's just me. Most people think autism is a disability, and I just think it's a different way of thinking and being. Well, for me, sensory overload is mainly to do with noises, because a lot of autistic people struggle to filter out certain noises. The noises that I hear outside, like all different noises, like cars and the people and the wind and loud noises, they're all the same volume to me, so I can't filter out certain noises, so it sometimes becomes too much, and when that happens it's called a sensory overload. Well, when I'm outside, a good way to deal with it is to just listen to music with my headphones in, because I can focus on a specific set of sounds and filter out the ones I don't want to hear. Well, it's kind of a continuation on the listening to music part, is that I can just make my own sounds and be in control of the sounds that I hear. I just like find it interesting, and like I just like the idea of being able to look at a piece of art and think that that's come from the way someone sees the world, because we all see the world slightly differently, and I think the artwork people make reflects that. I guess I just like owning physical copies of things so I can hold them and look at them and have it as an object instead of a digital file. It just doesn't feel real to me. Just like being able to freeze a moment in time and have control over how it looks, and I feel like it's a good way to express how I see the world, which might be different to the way a lot of people without autism see the world. Well, like when I'm walking down the street, I tend to look at things in patterns, and I notice lots of breaks in patterns which can sometimes makes for interesting compositions in photography. It was difficult to talk to people, like at school, and to build friendships and maintain friendships and relationships with people, and I always felt like an outsider to everyone. Well, it's a lot easier sometimes to just be around animals than it is to be around people. There's no pressure to conform to social rules. I don't have to talk, I can just be around them and be comfortable, and it helps me to relax and gather my thoughts. Well, I wouldn't change anything about my autism, because it's kind of grown with me and it's just become who I am. So if I changed a part of it, I'd be removing a part of myself and I'd be a different person.
My mum took me to ballet lessons, which was just, at my local ballet school. I remember that it was fun. I just got praised for being good at it, and I suppose if you take something and you're good at it, you feel good about it. My name's Pam Eastwood. I am Recreation Ranger and Film Liaison Officer for Forestry England. That come here want the same thing. They want to do a big battle. And of course battles are always exciting because they look fantastic, and there are usually horses galloping around, and that's always wonderful to see. Wolfman was really quite spectacular because they did it at night, and they had a gypsy camp which looked really marvellous. Then we've had other films like Robin Hood where they built a castle, and it was really interesting to see how the castle went up in the gleaming white plaster, how they then aged it and made it look as though it was about 1,000 years old. And sometimes they've had a tree that they have stood up, they've painted it with stuff that is easily flammable, or they've put a gas pipe up the back, and you get this tree that you switch a switch on and it goes in flames, and then you turn it off and it's almost like a gas ring. They can turn it on and off, so that when they want it to fall, and everybody to run out of the way, they've got this tree that's flammable or not. I'm always amazed at the things that they come up with. I hurt my back. Had a back injury from using a strimmer, and couldn't dance much. It took a while to get over that injury. So while I was in that state, I found belly dancing, and I took up belly dancing, which is extremely good for sort of the movement of your spine. And I really enjoyed belly dancing. It was a wonderful form of dance, and I did that for several years. Then, I had a couple of things that were quite funny in that I got the wrong end of the stick, shall we say, because there was one time I remember going to what I thought would be a dance class, or an exercise class more than anything, called Boxercise, and I thought it was a thing where you jumped on and off a box. And when I got to the class, they strapped boxing gloves on me and made me do boxing, which I absolutely hated and thought was awful. So I only did one class of that. Boxing wasn't for me at all. Another time I got told about pole dancing, which I thought was where you had a pole and you twirled it round your hand. And I thought that might be fun actually, because, and I just like trying new things. So I thought I went along to this pole dancing class, and of course it wasn't dancing with a pole, it was dancing up and down a pole. And the woman who taught the class was an ex-Stringfellows dancer, and came to the door in a G-string bikini, which quite surprised me really. And she said she was sick of working in London and working at Stringfellows, and she was going to have her own dance class. So I thought, well, I'm here, I'll try it. And I found I was really, really good at pole dancing, and it was fantastic exercise, really good for your body, and such fun. And I did do that for a couple of years until I hurt my back again and had to stop. And I was getting a bit old for it then, because by then I was in my mid-40s, and you do need a lot of strength and agility to pull yourself up your own body weight up a pole. But one of my proudest moments was when I managed to do the splits on the ceiling. I wish I'd taken a photograph of it, but I didn't, because I think it was before we had all these digital cameras and things. Dancing has always been a bonus in my life. It's always something that has made me have wonderful experiences doing things, meeting new people, making new friends. Going to folk festivals is wonderful fun. It's all positive. I'm pleased actually that dancing is becoming so popular. With shows like Strictly Come Dancing, it's made people love dancing again. I always think it's a shame when you get somebody who's too embarrassed to dance, or just, you know, can't bring themselves to do it, because there's a wonderful joy in it that is life affirming and you know, gets you through hard times. I think that life should be about having experiences, and I have had lots of wonderful experiences, and the more experiences you have, the more you can learn about yourself and what you're capable of, and about life. And the good thing about working for the Forestry Commission is, you know, every day is different, really. And you know, looking back, things worked out for me really well. I feel that they worked out for me as they should. And you know, as somebody who is about to retire, I feel I took the right paths. You know, I took the ones that were offered to me, and I feel that the best thing you can do is take the opportunities which are offered to you. You take them and you make the best of them, and that way you can look back and think, well, you know, I think I've done well with it. I don't have any regrets. I don't look back and think, well, I wish I'd done this or I should have done that. I've done the best I can with who I am.
Is this what makes the sound?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's physically moving back and forth, so.
I've been working on something for a while now. Eat it.
4, and I'm getting close to what I wanted. Whenever I sort of used to listen to music as a kid, I sort of imagined lights reacting to the music. I felt like there was kind of a bit more to just the one-dimensional audio aspect of music, and in kind of a synesthesia sort of way, I quite enjoy the combination of light and music. My name is Finley Cuff. I am a 4th year electronic engineering student at Surrey University, and I previously went to Sutton Grammar School in Sutton, and I was very lucky to go to a grammar school.
Do you find that grammar schools have a lot more privilege in the sense they give this sort of education and, shall we say, ability to teach these things, where the public schools do not really allow the opportunities the same opportunity?
I think that is completely correct. I think that I must recognise the fact that I got a lot more privileges in that sense by going to a grammar school, and I think that it's kind of a little bit ridiculous that other schools don't get the resources to focus on engineering. I was very lucky to have a department that allowed me to use all kinds of machinery. They gave me plenty of time and resources and let me do pretty much whatever I wanted to.
What problems have you had as an engineer, inventor, and how did you overcome them?
I'd say the main issues is just sort of things breaking or just not quite working the way that I intended. And usually these issues are some of the most valuable times for learning, because if it's something you've made a massive mistake with, like a design or some sort of choice, it's usually because you didn't quite understand it to begin with. And by having all these problems, you then realise what you should have been thinking of before you made it. So really that's when you learn the most. If you just build stuff and it works, you've not really learned that much from it. I used to play a lot of sort of Star Wars games, Ratchet & Clank, similar sort of sci-fi genre of games, and I always then wanted to try and make the kind of the weapons and gadgets and various stuff from the games, and I would often use like construction toys like Lego or Kinects and stuff to try and make various things that I'll try and copy. And from then on, it's sort of been a natural progression. I've sort of tried to pick up more skills, but I think the motivation is the same. I just want cool stuff and I want to be able to make it myself.
Right, is the camera rolling? Are we ready for recording?
Yeah. All right, state your name.
My name's Roger Grech. I live in North London and I'm 57 years of age and have a strong passion for music and singing.
Okay, so following that question, what inspired you for your passion for singing and music?
My inspiration and passion for music goes way back when I was a little young boy, back in the 60s when I grew up, and I used to listen to songs by the Beatles, Engelbert Humperdinck, Elvis, and I used to hear those songs because the people who used to live above us in our flat, they used to play that sort of music on a constantly regular basis, and ever since then, as a young boy, it was inside me, and the passion I had for music was installed all those many years ago. And not only that, living in Southeast London as a multiracial community, I was subjected to so many different types of music back then.
So how did you develop that passion from a young age then?
I remember my uncle, who was a professional violinist and a banjo player. My uncle, your great uncle, and he used to come over to our home and play us a few tunes, and I used to remember him giving me his banjo, and I used to strum a few little notes every now and then. Then I used to go, when I went to primary school, and then from primary school went to secondary school, I joined the choir. And I remember my father bought me my first ever record player back in the early 70s, late 70s, early 70s. And I bought my first ever vinyl LP, Cliff Richard's Golden Greats. I used to play it constantly on the record player and sing along to his songs. And I remember one day going to college, and unbeknownst to me, I would be walking down a corridor singing one of his songs, and behind me were a few of my friends who would stop and say, "Who was that singing?" And I would turn around and say, "It was me." I always envisaged myself as following my career path in the music industry, but obviously I didn't have the opportunity way back then, and I wasn't actually pushed in that direction as such, and hence I left it a bit late in life to pursue my dreams and my aspirations as a recording artist.
So what do you do now then with music and singing, and why do you still do it?
I've been lucky enough to do a live show every Friday and Saturday at Mum's Bistro here in North London. And apart from that, during these unprecedented times we have with this COVID-19 pandemic, I more often than not do a live Facebook streaming show to all my friends on Facebook. And I purely do it
on purely for the fact that I know it brings a smile to the face, and I love to entertain people at the end of the day during these horrid times that we have at the moment.
So any final message then to people like me and the younger generation?
Yes, this advice goes out to you and everybody else, basically. As a man in my late 50s who's only just now decided to pursue his passion in his career in music, all I can say is to you all out there, all you young people, follow your dreams, follow your passion, because you don't know what's around the corner.
Η αγάπη μας θα μείνει, μη σε νοιάζει, μη φοβάσαι, να το ξέρεις πως για πάντα θα με δίπλα σου εγώ. Για σένα όλη τη ζωή μου, το φως μου την αναπνοή μου, τα δύο τα μάτια μου αν θες για σένα.
Arepo è il frutto di una rinascita artistica in un momento di stasi. Qualche anno fa non trovavo più degli stimoli creativi per l'abuso della nuova tecnologia digitale e cercavo invano di riproporre l'effetto pellicola con dei filtri in post-produzione, ma i risultati erano sempre al di sotto delle aspettative. In genere io giro con 2 cineprese 16 mm che si chiamano Bolex, vengono dalla Svizzera e sono degli anni 50-60. Le uso perché sono molto versatili, tutto sommato leggere rispetto ad altre cineprese, e soprattutto si può anche fare animazione, che è una cosa che a me piace molto, stop motion. Il percorso nel cartone animato, comunque la manualità che c'è nel cartone animato e nel disegno, erano le radici che poi mi hanno finalmente fatto venire fuori questo frutto che è Arepo. E quindi come Alberto io mi sento un po' il produttore dei lavori di Arepo. Dopo un'esperienza di diversi anni a Londra, sentivo che era il momento giusto di un cambiamento epocale, un po' come quando Alberto è diventato Arepo. Per quanto avrei voluto tornare in Italia, tante situazioni mi hanno convinto a rimanere qui nel Regno Unito, ma ho voluto ritrovare un po' le radici italiane in una zona fondata dagli antichi romani, perché mi trovo nel Somerset vicino a Bath. E quindi ho cominciato qui, in questo studiolo, che piano piano ho creato su misura. Il nuovo spazio che ho trovato, che si chiama The Lodge, sta in cima a questa bella collina che mi dà proprio respiro, e a volte mi trovo che lavoro qua nello studiolo e vado su a pranzo, mi faccio un bel caffè con la stufa a legna e dopodiché mi sento bello carico e sono pronto a tornare a fare montaggi, sviluppi. Uno degli aspetti che mi hanno indotto a trovare un nuovo spazio è il contatto con la natura, che è fondamentale. Quindi manualità e natura per me vanno di pari passo, e la pellicola stessa ha dei tempi molto più lenti del digitale e mi sembrava giusto e necessario poter uscire comunque da questo nuovo mondo che mi sono creato. Il soggetto che più mi piace nei miei lavori è quello dell'inaspettato. Mi piace girare delle storie che possono sembrare un po' rocambolesche, ma voglio che succeda sempre qualcosa che non si sa mai quello che c'è, dall'inizio alla fine. Il rischio è che si diventi ermetici e quindi che la trama esca un po' dai canoni narrativi classici, ma alla fine io ho abbracciato il surrealismo. Mi ritengo un promotore del surrealismo del XXI secolo.
For those visiting Tukai Palace, we have a few announcements. In order to prevent the recent occurrence of the novel coronavirus, we strongly recommend wearing a mask and washing your hands frequently. If you have fever or respiratory symptoms, please consult with the Korea Centers for Disease Control by calling at 1339 or the Public Health Center. Thank you.
네, 여기는 경복궁입니다. 조선이라고 하는 나라가 있을 때 조선의 제1등 궁궐인데요. 그래서 보통 법궁이라고도 하는데 사실 서울에는 조선시대 궁궐이 꽤 많이 남아 있습니다. 총 5개가 있는데 그 중에서 경복궁이 가장 제일 위에 있는 1등 궁궐이라고 보시면 돼요. 그래서 법궁이라는 표현을 썼는데 조선이라는 나라가 망할 때까지 계속 이 법궁의 지위를 유지를 하고 있고, 그래서 우리나라에서 궁궐을 살펴볼 때, 이제 한국의 궁궐을 살펴볼 때 그래도 꼭 한 번쯤은 와봐야 되는 곳으로 알려져 있는 곳입니다. 경복궁에 들어오시면 맨 처음에 조선시대 양식을 지키고 있는 것들이 있고 조선 후기에 만들어진 건물들이 있어서 여러 시기의 어떤 건물들을 볼 수 있다는 특징이 있고요. 그래도 왕이 여기를 메인 궁궐로 썼기 때문에 가장 규격이 크고 공식적이고 사람들에게 드러낼 만한 어떤 규격을 갖추고 있다는 게 경복궁 건물의 특징입니다. 지금 서울에 남아있는 5개의 궁궐들은 사실 만들어질 그 당시의 모습들은 아니에요. 다 조금씩 여러 가지 부침을 겪어왔는데 조선 역사상 가장 큰 재난이라고 한다면 아무래도 일본과 싸웠던 임진왜란을 들 수가 있겠어요. 임진왜란 때 이 서울에 있는 한양에 있는 궁궐 5개가 전부 불에 탑니다. 전수됐죠. 전부 불에 탔고 그때 경복궁도 불에 탔어요. 그런데 좀 특이한 건 전쟁이 끝나고 나서 경복궁은 다시 짓지 않고 그 옆에 창덕궁이나 창경궁과 같이 다른 건물들을 지어서 경복궁은 다시 짓지 않았어요. 그래서 특이하게도 법궁인데도 여기를 꽤 오랫동안 사용을 하지 않고 그대로 방치를 하게 되는데 한 270년 정도 빈 공터로 남아 있다가 시간이 흘러서 고종이라는 임금이 즉위하게 됐을 때 그때에 아주 크게 다시 만들어지게 됩니다. 그때 만들어진 크기가 처음 만들어진 크기에 거의 20배가 넘었다라고 생각하시면 될 것 같아요. 경복궁은 아직도 복원이 끝나지 않았어요. 아직도 계속되고 있고요. 2045년까지 현재 예정이 되어 있습니다. 그래서 여기서 뒤로 쭉 가면 뒷문으로 나가면 우리나라 대통령 있는 청와대가 있는데 만약에 옛날 크기 그대로 만든다고 한다면 거기도 없어져야 돼요, 사실은. 그 정도로 커다란 크기고요. 지금 보고 계신 크기가 전성기 경복궁 크기의 한 40% 정도밖에 되지 않습니다.
Yeah. Come up to your house like I am. Run that up, Rico. We're trying to get paid, not play no games. Now we want them large amounts.
Right now, let me see if just pausing this will create that fuzzing. Panda Not Bamboo is Panda Not Bamboo. I'm from London and we're in Pirate Studio.
Run that up, Rico. We're trying to get paid, not play no games. Now we want them large amounts. And I'm with a gang, we're overseas. Somewhere you can't pronounce.
My upbringing was good. Nothing really to complain about. I didn't get everything I wanted. I got the things I needed, but I want everything more, including Shay Anderson. Or I'm going to succeed in world domination.
Cool.
Oh, you answer the question. Should I look at you then, or should I look at you?
How would you describe your music?
Loud. Like, you know what? Imagine you go to sleep and you get sleep paralysis, and then you're frantically trying to get out of it. Like, imagine that, but just in your ear. Like, just crazy. Like, you don't know what's going on, but it just, you kind of like it, but you kind of don't. But you like it enough to the point where you just, if it happens again, you can't complain type stuff. But I'll tell you what does affect my music, it's DJing. Because you hear different songs with different beats. Like, you can hear like a drill song with like an R&B beat and you're like, damn, this low-key sounds fire. So like, I kind of just sit down, just hear a beat, just like anyone else. Depends on what I'm talking about, because obviously if I'm talking about how females are trash, you're not trash, women are trash. I mean, no, girls are trash, women are amazing. Sometimes I might be eating cereal, and then that just gives my brain a boost.
You thought we lost a song, but we got it back.
Or sometimes I'll just be with this guy and he's fried.
No. Fucking hell, I can hear you in my ear. You ready?
And then that was it, to be honest. And then we came back and we finished the song. Long, isn't it? It's been a long day. We've been in this. We're gonna step outside and think we're in China, fam. Mum, this is it's like we're in a Eurotunnel, fam.
I like underground. Can I swear? Yeah. Shout out Maria. If you see this, reply to my DM. I'm still trying to practice swimming with you. Teach me some strokes.
I started watching her movies when I was young, and I just love the aesthetic and the ideas and I don't know, it's just weird. I love weird things. It's yeah.
Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Leonor, and I'm from Portugal, and I'm an animation student. Yeah, I think art helps me to cope with my inner struggles because it helps me organize my head, or it just helps me to relax because I get distracted from my negative thoughts. And yeah, I think it's a very good way to get to understand myself as well. I think animation is like the perfect way for me to tell stories because I have a lot of stories in my head, and I like music as well, and I love to draw. And so I think the best way to express my ideas is to join all of my passions. And I think animation is like the best way because I'll be able to make films and tell the stories that I have to tell. I like to express my feelings and emotions, and I think that music is a very special way to do that. So I like to draw creepy things, and I like this fairy tale and mythology aesthetic too. I like to give some concept to my drawings, but most of all I like to get into the creepy side. I love the 19th century aesthetic, so I drew a Victorian ghost lady, and she's a ghost and she's really sad, and what I tried to portray there was the feeling of numbness and of nothingness. And I think the symbolism of the drawing is the union between the nothingness and the feeling of numbness and death itself. That's why I like it so much, because I think it's really sad. My dream, I think I What I want to do is to work on my own ideas, so I want to make my own films. But I think this place gives me hope, and I think I will achieve my goals.
My typical day is very, very busy. On the whole, I would get here in the morning, ready for us to open at 9 o'clock. I make sure that all the staff that are working here all know what they're doing. If there's anything particular, I let them know what's going on. A lot of my day is taken up with ordering, talking to the companies that we order from, talking to the sales representatives, sometimes having meetings with them. And then another part of my job is looking after all of the staff, not just at this branch, but at our other branches as well. So making sure that all their paperwork's up to date, looking after the payroll, interviewing new staff, dealing with any queries from my staff here and from our other branches. Some of my favourite products, I like the games, jigsaws and games, and the art materials, the craft materials. So this is a photograph taken in 1913, so that's 107 years ago, and this is West Street where we are now, and you can see that Pullinger's looks very similar to the way it looks today. The shapes of the windows, the two bays, the entrance, everything above, the little window and the top of the roof, all very much the same. Well, this photograph here, you can see that there's models and toys in the window. The brickwork's the same, the shape of the bay windows is the same. Even these top windows along here, we've still got these, although they no longer open. Farnham's a really sort of art and craft town, and every year they have like a craft festival. They've recently had a craft market as well, which was really successful. I think that was quite a new thing. People come in, they're just visiting the town. They've always got really nice things to say about Farnham.
我不是一个很喜欢吃甜食的人，但是我很喜欢亲手做甜食送给家人和朋友们品尝。我叫赵婷，一个喜欢纯手工烘焙的普通学生。第一次做烘焙的时候是在初3，当时我和姐姐一起做了红豆面包。那天我们2个在网上看视频，看到一个视频是有人在做红豆面包，看着视频的面包感觉好好吃，所以我们2个就决定，要不我们也尝试去做一下吧。然后我们就按照视频里所说的去买了食材，回来后按照视频中的步骤做了这个面包，最后这个面包做得很成功，也非常好吃。我做的甜品中印象最深刻的一次是做了白葡萄酒桃子芝士蛋糕，是在前年的8月底。当时我姐姐在过生日，因为我从小就和她比较亲近，几乎可以说是她带我长大的。因为她对我特别好，当时我就觉得姐姐过生日了，应该给她准备个生日礼物。因为自己还是个学生，就也没有什么钱可以给她买很贵重的礼物，于是就决定给她做一个蛋糕吧。因为姐姐她很喜欢吃桃子，所以我就决定做这个芝士蛋糕送给她。当时姐姐很喜欢这个蛋糕，也觉得很感动，觉得自己的妹妹终于懂事了。我做甜品的时候其实经常翻车，有的时候是因为制作的步骤不对，有的时候是因为配方不对，但大多数的情况下是因为把它们放在烤箱后就忘记了，等我想起来后就已经烤过头了。有一次是在做巧克力软曲奇，当时已经做好了一些，但因为还有面糊，就想着再做一些吧。做的时候就突然想到，下午还要出去玩，那就先收拾准备出门的东西吧。在收拾的过程中就忘记了我还在做饼干，最后临出门的时候想起烤箱里还有烤制的饼干，等我过去看的时候都已经变成了一团团的黑炭了。在我做过的甜品中，曲奇饼干是做起来相对方便的，因为面糊的部分都大同小异。在口味方面可以加摩卡粉、巧克力粉之类的，或者是不同的果干坚果来进行调味，因为可以同一时间内做出多种口味，而且曲奇饼干的保质期也相对来说比较长一些，所以我每次做完后都会包装起来送给朋友们吃。我做甜品的时候不喜欢使用电子工具，大多数情况下都是纯手工制作的，因为我很敬佩日本的匠人们，他们的匠人精神也是我人生的守则之一。在匠人眼里，只有纯手工制作出来的东西是有温度的，反而用机器做出来的东西是没有温度的。纯手工制作的东西比机器更能传达制作人的心意和其他他想要传达的情感。甜品扮演着我生活中不是很重要的角色，但也不是一个不可缺失的部分。